Well, thank you very much for that panel. That was really interesting and a great panel to be the last one for the first day, because this day has basically been about how technology changes the way we behave as society. Whereas you can hear all the other places you can hear about technology as such, we try to figure out what impact technology and the internet has on society. And this was a pretty good panel on understanding how communication changes the way we perceive society and international affairs. Now we'll have our very last part of the day. We'll have a little wrap up, which not only will be about us talking about what we experienced today, but our comic. I have 1 more minute. I'm supposed to talk. Our one of our comic drawers, Yo-Yo, aka Beetle Bomb, is here to actually wrap up the day with us, drawing whatever he experiences, what we tell him, what we experience, and what we took away from today's sessions. While the guys are getting the technology ready, I invite everyone to come up closer, because we are not spitting while talking. And
Are you sure?
maybe that late in the day. And before we go through what we experienced today, I have a quick wrap up on what's going to be on stage tomorrow. Because I had a little peek into the... Oh yeah, you can see that. Does it work?
Yeah, that's cool.
Then I will not look at tomorrow's program, but we jump right into talking about what happened today. Do you want to sit down?
Yeah,
for
maybe
a
we
second?
sit down and then wrap up our day and what are the main outcomes for today. And we all invite you to join in and tell us what are your outcomes for today. So Lena, what was the first talk? I think it was the Niklas Bergman one about the tech storm.
We
What
had
your
a
thoughts about it?
Swedish futurist, Niklas, who just published those days. He published a book called Surviving the Tech Storm. And what I thought was interesting is a book title like that, for me, it presupposes there is a tech storm coming. And that we need strategies to survive it. So it sounds like something is going to come and destroy us if not we have strategies. And then when he came up on stage, I was actually pretty amazed, because he was not as pessimistic and dystopian as I thought he would be, telling from the title of his book, right?
Yeah, true, very true.
And he went with us through today's really exciting technologies, like the genome thingy and what robots do, and what that actually tells us what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, and that he missed the Spotify opportunity.
Oh
which
yeah, that
I
was
thought was quite
exciting.
interesting. So
He had the chance to invest in Spotify, but he thought that's something with music is not going to work. And he missed the opportunity to get his fair share of like $8 billion or something.
yeah, right. Well, and then afterwards we had.
Oh, we should mention the wonderful shoes he had on. I don't know if you've seen that. He had white shoes with roses on them.
Yeah, right. No, very cool. That was
Very cool, very futurist dude.
Then we had Wolfgang Huber on stage talking about is happiness digital or analog?
And he said like that you shouldn't ask that question. It's not the question to ask, because he says like the first question you should ask is what's happiness?
Right. And he actually is right. So I think it's an interesting question, and I'm glad that we talked about it and that we figured out that it is the wrong question to ask.
Yeah, he said like happiness. If you first ask what happiness is, then you figure out happiness has to do with you being a part of the group and getting feedback from the group in like interpersonal interactions. And that's what can make you happy. And this is pretty analog feeling, but it can be enhanced by technology, but not substituted. So just chatting with a friend on Facebook is not the same thing. What he said, like you have to be co-present at the same time at the same spot. And technology cannot substitute that feeling.
Right, and then I think it was also interesting to see, actually to hear his view about, is the digital transformation, is it a new way of living, or is it just an instrument to add to our analog living? And I think that was also quite interesting to talk about.
Exactly, because he said like there is a certain fear of technology becoming the dominant part of our lives, and we should rather view it as an instrument to enhance, for example, happiness or anything, and not like have technology tell us what we have to do or how we want to live, but the other way around.
Right.
So, and he had a very strong point about we human beings are analog and not digital, and that's why they're the source of everything is analog.
Yeah. And then we moved to Joby Benjamin talking about moonshots.
Oh yeah, what is a moonshot?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of people being shot to the moon.
No, it's
What is a moonshot?
Well, as far as my understanding of a moonshot is how to make something great which reaches more than 1 billion people. So that's a moonshot. And we talked about different moonshots, like saving the rainforest, doing something about the Zika virus, having 32 satellites around the world where you can actually see what's happened on the planet almost real time. I mean, that's amazing. And also we talked about what's payment. I mean, what's broken with the payment? Because Yobi actually wanted to buy shower gel today, this morning, and he couldn't pay with his credit card. I mean, I think you can pay with your credit card everywhere except in Germany. And
that's true.
What's wrong?
And so that's what he wants to do about the world, is like doing more moonshots, like with payment and stuff.
Well, something like that, obviously. And then, I mean, he's interested in everything which makes the world a little bit better and which reaches really a lot of people, and also raising funds for that one. So
yeah, he talked about crowdfunding, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, he raised millions of dollars via Indiegogo and Kickstarter. So everybody who has a great idea should believe in him or herself and just do it.
Did he have an example for a former moonshot? What's been the biggest moonshot so far? Did he talk about that too?
Well, I think one of the biggest moonshots is that, I mean, he owns 2% of our rainforest, which I thought is quite amazing. I mean, if there's no rainforest left at some stage, we will not be here anymore. So I think that was, for me, one of the biggest moonshots.
Wow. Well, then we had Terry from Alibaba Germany.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting is he says like, okay, he wants to be a creative person, so come up with a challenge that's not easy to solve, and he's going to be really, really interested in it. If there's an easy solution, that would bore him. So he told me in his career he started out to be a commercial photographer, and he realized you just fulfill your customers' wishes. That's kind of easy. That's not creative at all. So that's why he got engaged with Amazon, Yahoo, and now Alibaba, because he says it's not easy, because e-commerce seems to be digital and all over the world, but still there is a planet, and if you want to ship something from Germany to China, wow, this is a big logistic problem, and this is like a real challenge to him, and that's why he wants to work with those questions, because it puts him in a position to find a creative solution. I thought that was interesting, because to me, e-commerce in a way is like, well, people selling goods all over. And he says, no, it's so much more, because it's connecting the world, and that's a big challenge. I thought that was interesting.
Definitely. And then And then I think we moved to the virtual and augmented. No, we moved to
To the underwater. We moved under
to
the water.
sharks, yeah, to sharks and actually research and technology. And I think that was a highly interesting topic.
That was really fascinating because we're talking so much about technology at your workplace. You think about offices, right? And how technology actually makes your work at the office or home office much easier. His workplace is underwater or in the water, on top of the water, but what he researches is under the water. So using technology to actually to actually map the underwater world, which is a part of our planet that isn't very well explored yet, was really interesting to see because it seems to be really hands-on. And sometimes to me, technology is something like this fuzzy something in the air, and he puts it down to no, it's something that helps us understanding the planet we live on. And I thought that was really exciting. And then he told us the story about almost being eaten or swallowed by a whale.
Scary, huh?
Yeah, I mean he's diving with herrings. That's what happens to you when you dive with the prey of another animal. That was really interesting.
And we were so jealous because he was just sending us emails. Okay, I'm in the middle of the sea and I have great weather, sun is shining, and we were sitting here in Hanover just raining and cold and everything like that. So, but we were safe.
But he said, and he said he talked about the projects and how you can use technology to reproduce what they find underwater that you actually cannot bring up to the surface because it would die or it would be destroyed. Like they had skulls from like 1,800 years old skulls in Mexico, and they knew they cannot bring up to the surface because as soon as it gets in touch with oxygen, it's gonna be destroyed within a year. They took just a lot of pictures and took tiny parts of it and reproduced the whole thing with 3D printing at home. They could do the very same research on it without changing what they had seen. I thought that was really interesting. Because you can preserve stuff much longer by that.
Yeah, definitely. But then we moved to the dinosaurs and to this and everything in regards to virtual reality and augmented reality, which I think are very interesting topics. And it's so cool to see what you can do with these realities which you put on our
Remember when we started talking about virtual reality and I told you, like I said, like what do you, to be honest, do people actually use that? And then we put up the panel and said, like, let's find out whether virtual reality actually is something. Today I found out it's going to be it really is, and I don't use that word very often, it's going to be the next big thing. It's going to disrupt a lot of stuff that's been around, because if you see technology like the development of internet and computer, it's always been stationary, then it became mobile, and now the next big step is it's not going to be there anymore, in the sense you don't have hardware that you need to touch or press buttons on to actually interact with technology and hardware, but you're going to just do it by your mind or your movements. You're going to interact with technology. And I thought that's pretty amazing because it changes a lot. I mean, the cases they had is, the use cases were education. You can use virtual reality, augmented reality very much in education, because you can learn so much more about an environment that you cannot travel to because of time or, back in time, or because of distance. And students can learn much more through it. They say it can be used in medicine a lot. What else? There are a couple of really interesting use cases they had. Also in psychology, virtual reality can help people to actually go to the happy place and be there and calm down. Yeah, that was, and the fun thing is, no one knows yet what virtual reality is. My question was like, why do we keep talking about it? It seems like nothing had happened in the past 5 years. And their answer was, well, actually, technology wasn't ready yet. And now technology seems to be where we can start using it, actually play with technology to figure out how we want to use virtual reality in science, in business, and everyday's life. So we need to be experimenting much more with it to actually understand what we can use it for. So that was my main takeaway.
Great. And then we move to the refugees topic in social media and how social media helps refugees to find their way through the border. Highly interesting topic, and I think we had a very good discussion here how these two lovely people just made their way to Germany, and that they give something to Germany, and that they hope that Germany gives also something to them. Yeah. And but they plan to. They don't want to stay for the rest of their lives here in Germany. They actually wanted to go home. I mean, Syria is their home, so obviously they would love to go home if the war is over. So
I think we really met today's purpose in showing how technology, not what technology is able to do, but how technology is actually helping us have a positive impact on society, on science, and I mean, not so much about the hardware itself, but much more how we humans can benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, if they wouldn't have social media, they couldn't interact with each other. So I think it's such an important tool they are using, and they are so happy that it exists. So
that's true. Yeah.
I think that was our day, right?
That was our day. And Jojo, how far are you with our day? You done?
Cool. So I think that's our first part of our digital world.
Let's have a look at the picture.
Yeah.
I cannot actually see it well. Can the audience see it?
Yeah.
Oh, we have the whale there that's eating the diver.
I like it. Cool. And the happiness one.
Yeah, that's true.
So we will do every single day a wrap up, and then afterwards we want to have our digital world, how we think it will develop all together in one big picture. So that's the outcome for us.
So we're going to do that every single day and then see what we learned.
Yeah. And where it goes to. Cool.
Thank you very much for having been our audience today. It's been a long day for us.
Yeah.
I think it's been a long day for you guys too. So
so we will have the last keynote on center stage with Yuri Levine. He's the founder of Waze, which he sold to Google.
My favorite startup, actually. Favorite kind of big data, share economy, let's do good stuff together, collaborative consumption startup. It's one of my favorite examples. Yeah.
So please join Yuri over there, and see you tomorrow at the open stage again. Thank you.
From 10 o'clock on. Thank you very much.